Part 3 of this tutorial is the last in this tutorial series and should prepare you to complete your own video. Remember to open your video PowerPoint presentation and continue to build on it as you listen to this tutorial. Though we covered animation techniques in Part 2, we will revisit animations by including emphasis animations as part of demonstrating how to insert a voiceover. We will also illustrate how to adjust slide timing, and lastly, show you how to save your project in a common video format called MPEG-4 so that you can upload your finished video to YouTube. Let's get started by taking a look at how Lakeisha included an emphasis effect and voiceover on her guiding questions slide. This slide makes use of a couple features that we haven't seen yet. The first feature is the use of emphasis animations. In this particular case, we have two. One is an underlining of the text, and the other is a pulsing of this figure over here. The other effect is the animation of voice, or addition of voice. Lakeisha explains the guiding questions on this slide. So let's take a look at how these are implemented. So what I'm going to do is just highlight this first row of text here. And you'll see, if you look in the animation tab, you'll see that there's an underline emphasis. So if you look here in the list, you've got an entrance effect, which you've seen already. Emphasis effects, this is an underline emphasis effect. And so each one of these lines of text has this emphasis effect in it, and you treat those just like you would an entrance effect. The question mark circle here is a pulse emphasis, so you can see that under the emphasis there. Okay, and lastly, the little microphone, or not microphone, little speaker here, basically is a voiceover that Lakeisha did to show to talk about these guiding questions. So let's have a listen.
How do you start a business?
The underlining.
How much money is needed to start and operate a business? What math content is involved in the daily running of a business? What makes a business successful?
So you see that the timing of the underlining was timed with her voice. And how did she do that? Well, she did that by adjusting the timing over here. The delay time dictated when that appeared, and so she adjusted it until she got it to coincide with her voice. So that's a little bit more difficult to do, but it's very effective in that as she spoke, the underlining occurred. On the next slide, we're going to talk about how to add a voiceover so that we can explain how to do that. So now let's talk about voiceover. Voiceover is simply a way of adding your voice to a slide to explain something. It's relatively simple to do. What I've done is I've set up the slide first. I've typed my text on it. I've animated the text so that every time I click my left mouse button, a new line of text will be added to the screen. So we're ready to do the voiceover. Click on the slideshow tab and then click on record slideshow and then start recording from current slide. Leave these two boxes checked, and when you're ready to go, start recording. Now, one of the things that is very helpful is if you've written a script ahead of time so that you can read it. If you do that, it's not going to be nearly as hard to create the voiceover. So that's just a word of advice. So let's click Start Recording. And when we start recording, it goes into PowerPoint goes into slideshow mode, and basically it's waiting for me to click my left mouse button. So when I do that, it introduces that first line of text to the slide, and I talk about that first line of text, which is voiceovers are simply a way of adding an explanation to the slide. When you add your voice to the slide, it's a powerful way to emphasize your message. Your voice and text should be synchronized to make it look more professional. And lastly, don't read every word on the slide like I just did, because that the viewer can read those words. You don't have to tell them what they are. Use your own words to describe those. So there you have it. Our voiceover is done. When you're done with your voiceover, just click the escape button and it will go back out of slideshow mode. And notice now in the lower right hand corner you have this thing that looks like a speaker, and that's your voiceover. Now you can actually format that voiceover. You've also got it here in your animation pane. You can do some formatting with it. In this particular case, what we're looking for, you could start it on click or automatically. So what we want is the automatic. And if you wanted it to play across multiple slides, you could, and so on. You can adjust the volume, etc. So give it a try. Build one of your own slides. Maybe you want to build a guiding questions slide. Try a voiceover with your guiding questions. Good luck. In this effect, we're going to look at inserting a video inside of your video. To do that, you're going to have to grab a digital camera and video your students, yourself, could be a testimonial, student work, what have you. So, you'll need a digital camera to do that. Once you've recorded the video, one of the ways to get that video into your slide or onto your slide is go to the Insert tab and click on Video on my PC, and then you'd browse to wherever it is you stored your video and then upload it onto your slide. I'll assume you know how to get the video onto your PC, so we won't cover that here. The next thing you want to do is do some formatting. In this particular case, Lakeisha has chosen an oval call out here, but the way you format that is by selecting it, clicking on Format, and then go to Video Shape, and you can pick any number of video shapes here. Lakeisha happened to use this oval call out here for hers. Another thing you'll want to look at is the transition. There's a curtains transition at the beginning of this slide. You also want to look at the playback options. Select automatically so it starts when the slide starts. You might do some trimming at the beginning or end of your video. You can do fade ins, fade outs, and so on. The fade ins basically allow the video to start more softly, kind of gradually brings it up, and then the fade out is the same, it fades out softly. So let's take a look. Let's see what this video looks like. There's the curtains transition.
The unit was a hit. The students really enjoyed the idea of creating their own company. They scored higher on the post-test than they did on the pre-test, so there was definitely student growth, which is ultimately the goal.
That is a very powerful way to get across the message about your unit. So don't be afraid to get on camera, get your students on camera to help tell your story. The last topic we're going to cover is slide transition timing. In this particular case, slide transition timing has to do with how long a slide dwells on the screen. You want to control that so that your user has or viewer has enough time to read what's on the slide or absorb at least the material that you're presenting. The way you control it, click on the Transitions tab and adjust the time over here to the right. Make sure the after box is checked. Now, if you put 7 here, what that means is that it'll advance after 7 seconds. Well, that's not entirely true because you've applied some animation to your slide. It'll take into account the animation time as well as this time to determine when that slide advances. So if you need the slide to dwell longer, you'll want to increase this time. If you want it to dwell for a shorter period of time, you'll want to reduce that time. You also want to check to make sure on the slideshow tab that use timings is checked. This will force it to take into account those times that you've adjusted. So there you are. Make sure that you play with this. If you're not satisfied with the length of time that a slide dwells, you can adjust the timing. Once you've created your PowerPoint video, you're ready to save it as an MPEG-4 file. MPEG-4 is a common video format. So to do that, click on File, Save As, click Browse and browse to the folder you want to save it in. Change the Save As type from PowerPoint presentation to MPEG-4 video, and then go ahead and click Save. When it starts saving, you'll see a note at the bottom of the screen here. You'll also begin to see a bar graph begin to form here that shows you the progress. And it takes a while because there's a lot of information in these videos. Once you're done saving it, you can go ahead and open it up and play it just like you would any video file. So prior to the first video workshop, you should work on the following. First, start creating your PowerPoint presentation. Create slides for the hook, big idea, essential question, challenge, and guiding questions. Include a voiceover on the guiding questions slide. Include at least one animation on a slide of your choosing, and add transitions between all of your slides. Congratulations, you've made it to the end of the video. As always, we have a number of references you might use to further enhance your video skills. Animations and Transitions is a great video to enhance your animation skills as well as your ability to create meaningful transitions between slides. This reference is an 8.5-minute video by SkillPath Seminars. The second reference is a 4-minute video by gcflearningfree.org on the subject of applying transitions. Reference 3 is a 2.5-minute tutorial on voiceovers by TeachUcomp. Reference 4 is Lakeisha's video, and reference 5 is the PowerPoint presentation that was built to create the video.